Hey guys, welcome to Moto Travel. We are back in my bike shed. This time of year the weather is not ideal, so it's the best time to look after your camping gear. And I show you what I take with me on the road. To make a nice cup of coffee on the road you need a stove. So let me show you what I use. On the left hand side I have my multi-fuel systems. They're here. Now this is an old MSR, that's a new MSR. This one is a gas stove from Primus. That's actually also a multi-fuel system, but I only use it for gas. This is another little screw-on gas stove. So we try them out in a bit and then see what we get out of it. And this here is my secret weapon. I'll show you that a bit later. Let's put that down. I think most of the people who take a stove with them tend to use gas because you have these really nice clean canisters. But is it really the best solution? Let's talk about it in a bit more detail. Let me show you. This is my Himalaya multi-fuel stove, and I had that stove on the last 2 long trips I did over the last 2 years. So everything was cooked on this little stove. I run it off gas bottles, and as you can see it's in really good nick and it's nice and clean. Now let me introduce you to my beast. This is a 25-year-old MSR cooker. As you can see, it's absolutely battered. It still works, it's bent. I've really seen better days, but it is very reliable. And I used it with petrol, with kerosene, with diesel. Basically it burns absolutely everything you throw at it. It's a MSR XGK2. Check it out on the internet. I think they're being built about 1995 when I got it. Yeah, so that is my old beast. What I have to do here is I have to change that little O-ring here because it's old and brittle, so that gets a new one later on, but then I'll show you it's still working. As I mentioned before, I used my gas stove on the last 2 long trips, but, and this is a big but, last time I was in Norway and I had some difficulties because I run out of gas. Not every petrol station or campsite has gas in store, and this is where the multi-stove comes really onto its own. Well, when we talk about fuel for your stove, if everything is alright, we have a whole tank full with this stuff, so we shouldn't really run out of fuel for our stove. Otherwise you may have a much bigger problem on your hands. My old stove was everywhere with me. If I was hitchhiking, I had it with me. When I was on my motorbike, I had it with me. I had this stove always on my side. I do recall the days when I was sitting in a little shack in Marrakesh 25 years ago and I used that to make my dinner. Petrol is everywhere because the world is mobile, but to find a gas canister can be a tricky thing. I do remember riding through the Sahara Desert on a XT500, a Yamaha, like 27 horsepower, was the really first off-road enduro bike. Well, we had this brilliant idea to went down Morocco, Mauritania, and came back through the Sahara Desert, and without that, that would have been impossible. Let's have a look at all the stoves I take with me on my trips, and then you can form your own good opinion about what's right for you. So, okay, so what do we have? Obviously we've seen this. This is the old boy, 25 years plus, hundreds and hundreds and 100 times usage out of that. You know, good old faithful, a little bit dirty. I may give it a good old clean out, but this is actually set up for diesel at the moment, kerosene and diesel. The other one, that's a brand new one I just bought to replace this one. And the only reason why I did that was actually because this has a flexible hose, what makes it a bit smaller. That's the only reason why I bought this. So that's the new one, the new MSR one. Multifuel, what is it called? Let's have a look. Here we go. That is the baby. Yeah, multi-liquid fuel stuff and a bottle. Excellent. This one here is the Himalayan Multifuel again, but set up for gas, and I want to keep it like that because just because I made my mind up to switch over to petrol doesn't mean it doesn't come handy once in a while, and then really I don't want to mess around with changing the valves and stuff. So this one here, well, I use that when I go walking. I like to take a little stove with me. It's from Van Gogh, and it's actually a really nice little stove, nothing special, but it does the trick. You know, it's a really good little burner. Let me show you my absolutely secret weapon. Let's have a look. This here is my emergency stove. Yep. It works really well. It actually goes really hot. It screws on directly to a gas bottle. And there you have it, an absolutely perfect little burner. If you look into it in more detail, you see it's very small, isn't it? However, it's ideal as a backup on the way. Finding a gas cartridge is much easier than finding a cooker somewhere. So that's the reason why I carry it with me. It's really just a backup. Well, so what do you reckon? You know, there's a whole variety of little stoves you can use. However, there comes the other catch. Now we have to talk about fuel. Gas is easy to get, but there are different systems available. Let me show you. When you look up here in my storage, I still have some of these old butane cartridges. That's the ones you used in the old lamps where you had a wick in it. You remember these ones? There is no there's no thread on it. So basically they get pushed in, and then they click in, and that is it. Most modern stoves these days have the thread connector on it. So all you do is screw these on and you're done with. And they're perfect. There's just one catch. When you look at the price, that is in Europe, in England, $4.99 for such a little bottle. In both canisters is the same stuff. Butane in this one and butane in this one. However, this one here costs twice as much than that one. So looking again at these two different systems, this one is not compatible with your standard camping stove. In order to fix the problem, you get yourself one of these. That's just a little adapter I bought for, I think, £2 on Amazon. You just screw that on and attach it to your bottle, and you're done. Now you can run the cheaper fuel with your camping stove. Now, solve that problem with the adapter. One thing I don't recommend is that you use these kinds of canister in the upright position for one of these burners, because obviously that's not really stable, and there's always a big hazard of throwing that thing over and causing a fire. However, if you have no choice, that's the way forward. Okay, let's just do our maintenance on it with the tools who come with it. Now I put some gloves on because I don't find it too pleasant to get all the dirt, fuel and residue on my skin if I don't have to. Obviously, if you're on the road, you don't carry that stuff. So this is the original tool who came with it. The thing is, first you take the deflector off, and then you have to get down in there. Let's see if you can see this. There is a little screw there what we take out, and this houses the injector. So this houses basically this here is the bolt, is the screw with a tiny little hole in there. You won't see that, but you have this tool here. There's a tiny little needle on the side, and you just insert it into that tiny little hole in there. That's the one, that's where the petrol comes out after it's like superheated. So that's clear and clean-ish, obviously. I mean, I could go on and use some petrol or cleaning fluid just to clean it out a bit more, but you know, I'm quite happy with that as it is. So since I have that unit open, I just get rid of all the burned material what is still sticking to the metal. Let me put that back in the right way around. You get different one of these with different size holes in it for petrol. That's the XG, I think that is for heavier fuel. So the one who came with it for finer fuel I lost years ago. So, but be honest, I put everything through, whatever comes along goes. So let's tighten that up a bit, but not crazy. Keeping in mind, I think it's a brass screw, so you have to be a bit careful with it. Okay, and then don't forget to put the deflector back on, because otherwise all the petrol will just shoot out. So you cannot use the cooker, the stove without that. Okay, now I want to fire that up, but obviously out there it's just such a horrible weather that I decided to do it in my bike shed. Now, I have some precautions. I got the windows open, so no fumes are staying in here with the motorbikes and everything, because open flame and motorbikes and fuel is not a good idea, okay? The other thing I have is, on hand, a fire extinguisher, as you can see. And then obviously I have glasses on, but I still will wear safety goggles, and I take really good care that I don't mess that up. And if I feel at any moment that it goes out of hand, I run. Okay, so let's just see what we have to do to fire that up and bring that back to life. So the key thing, here's the bottle. I already replaced the O-ring here, so that's a brand new one that gives a really good seal, so that will be fine. Then I give the bottle a few pumps to just get a bit of pressure in there. Don't have to go crazy on it. So now that hook here has to go behind the bottle. Luckily it's an original MSR bottle who came with a new stove, so I'm absolutely certain that will be fine. Then what you want to do is lubricate that a little bit. In my case I use spit, or you can use oil or anything. But if you want to seat it properly, you have to lubricate that. Okay, so that is it. So this was part of the setup in the past. What is basically a mini fuel bottle. What you do is you put some petrol or oil or anything in, and then you put a bit of a squirt down here to heat the whole system up, okay? I was so used to it, what I used to do is I just open the valve on the bottle and just let a bit of fuel out and see how it goes. Now you can't obviously see that from here. Down there is a little bit of fuel now coming out. When you look, you should be able to see this now down here. There's quite a bit of fuel glistening down there. That should do the trick. Okay, let's get ready for this. I hope we don't blow ourselves up. Here we go. The valve on the bottle is now closed. And all we have to do now is let this whole thing, can you hear that? Burn out. It already builds up pressure because there's obviously a lot of fuel in that hose. So now that the flame is out, what you want to do is open the valve again and fire up your stove. It will take a little bit until it builds up pressure again, but then you should be good to go. So, we are literally cooking on gas. Absolutely perfect. So that's all burned off now. You know, if you think I had it on this wooden surface here, but it's not that hot, so you can still touch it, you see. So it's not the end of the world, so, you know, no problem. Why do I mess around with that old stove? But here's the thing. If you got something with you for 25 years, you don't give up easy on this stuff, don't you? You get attached to it. There are so many memories. You know, where I used the stove, the places I've been, the countries I visited, you know, the adventures I had. And if I would give up on this stove now, I just give away some part of my memories. I know for some people it sounds silly, but it's just the way I'm wired. My dad always told me, buy once and buy good. And that's what I did. Right, let's just bring that to an end. I just want to show you a couple of other things I have who are the same age as my stove. Over 25 years old. That's my mug. I have on all my travels with me. The old army style cutlery set. And my cooking pots. All the same age, all still in use. Anyway, let's just make the highlight of this show my backup cooker or backup stove. This tiny little biddly thing. Let's just crack on with that. Hold on. What I want to do is show you that that little thing has a real punch. So here we go. This is 1 mug of water. Let's just do a test on how long it takes to boil that. Let's put that in my old pot. There we go. Let's fire that little baby up. Get the matches out. There we go. Over here I got a stopwatch. Let's just have a go how long it takes to make a cup of tea. I don't want to boring you with that. Obviously I'm not letting that run now all the time. Tea bag ready. Tea bag in mug. Lid on. Let's just see how long it takes. I come back just before it finishes. And I'm not kidding, it's boiling, and it is 1.5 minutes. I mean, that is a cracker. So, let's turn it down. Let's don't waste that. Let's just make ourselves a nice cup of tea. It's actually peppermint tea, so all done. Right, it is a beauty. I think for that small amount of money, something like that is really handy to have in your tank bag on a long trip. So one thing you should really remember is, because it has such a small flame, the heat is very central. So heating up food could be a bit of a problem. I mean, you could stir all the time, but for heating up water, that little stove is absolutely brilliant. So guys, that's about it. All about stoves. The Beast, 25-year-old. The old cookingware, 25-year-old. The cutlery, 25-year-old. You know, invest in good stuff and it will last you a very, very long time. So I hope that was something interesting for you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon below so you don't miss anything. Next time around, I talk about my tent, my sleeping arrangement, my cot, and all the other gear I carry around on a long trip. Have a good time, ride safe, and I see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Drive safe, bye.